Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See the shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Rock the Boat right here on UCY.TV. It is the 14th of March. Now, it's nice we set the clocks ahead because it's still daylight out, and that's kind of enjoyable. Although it's a frickin' cold out. It's sad. Got to warm up sooner or later. It was warm in February, and it's frickin' freezing now. But we're getting closer to spring, so it has to start turning around and warming up again. I just want to give a heads up if there's anybody in Newfoundland listening to this show. Oops. You guys have been getting totally slammed out there. And you're buried in a snowbank. And I understand it's really, really cold out west as well. But that's what that darn old global warming will do for you. I didn't know I had a show tonight. Thought today was Monday. It's not. And that's too bad. Yes, yesterday I was in the court. Michael Schmidt, the raw milk farmer, and two other gentlemen have been sitting in court for a while now, and started a week ago Monday, and they're in court still, and they're off for, Wednesday, Thursday, and back into court for a final day on Friday, unless the judge or the Crown withdrew the charges. But I don't think the Crown's going to withdraw the charges because the Crown could be in some serious trouble if they don't get a conviction here, which they're not gonna. But it was just a typical ridiculous nonsense. You know, there's star witness, a government agent from the Ministry of whatever, Agriculture or whatever, who led the raid on Michael's farm in October of 2015. He was the star lead witness, and his testimony didn't stand up. And one of the gentlemen who was charged for obstruction questioned or cross-examined the star witness, and the judge looked a little perplexed when that part of that was done, because he had said that John had shoved a placard in his face and then slammed it down on the desk and was doing all this other nonsense and interfering But they had video, and his testimony wasn't, and there was 15 people in the room. There was nobody in the room, really. There was 3 of them in the room, not 15. And they had 3 cameras in there, I guess, and so they shot the same video from 3 angles of John talking to the agent, and John didn't shove anything in his face, didn't slam anything on the table. Weren't 15 people in the room. And so, John says, you satisfied with your testimony? Yes. But your testimony doesn't have anything to do with the video. Well, that's a video. Well, yeah. So they played the videos over and over and over and over again. And the idiot agent is standing by his testimony, only it doesn't savvy at all with the video. So my understanding is that I have to check that out, but a friend of mine who I went over with yesterday was saying that Michael was saying that at the end there, the judge is disallowing the star witness's testimony because it's fried. So after that, there was a cop that was shadowing this agent during this raid, and he went into the courtroom. He was only in there a few minutes, and then he came back out again. I go, oh, wait, how come you're running in and out of there? And he says, oh, they asked me to leave. Now, he was given testimony. Only his testimony wasn't even close to jiving with the star witness, the agent's testimony. So the Crown jumped in and said, well, maybe I could give him these documents would help him refresh his memory. And but those aren't his notes. This is something else they wrote up. And the judge, after a while, said, you know what? I don't think so. Now, when this trial first started a week ago Monday, they brought this judge in from down near Toronto, and he's supposed to be a real hard ass because they've been chasing Michael down for 23 frickin' years and have not nailed his ass to the cross yet, and have spent millions and millions of dollars chasing down the guy that hasn't caused anybody any harm. And so that's apparently the cop's testimony is no good, and the star witness's testimony is no good, and the other people, the other police and agents and that, they weren't really around what was going on. They were down at the barn pulling milk and stuff out and loading the cube van. So they aren't even privy to this idea of any obstruction. So I'm not sure if the judge threw it out today, but I would imagine the Crown's saying hang on to it, because this is the same Crown that forced us into court for 3 days several years ago, and we had a meeting with her, and it's not easy to get a meeting with the Crown if you don't have a lawyer, because they can only talk to lawyers, because they don't recognize the man. And we finally raised enough shit that we got a meeting and explained to her that she had to withdraw the charges because she has absolutely zero chance of getting a conviction. Not a hope in hell you're going to get a conviction. And your own rules state that you have to have a very good chance of conviction before you bring something forward. And you have no chance whatsoever. She said, well, we're going to move ahead anyways. And then as soon as they put that ahead, they vacated her out of there and transferred her out of the area, which they do to save their skins. And now she's back, and she's the Crown on this case of Michael and the other 2 gentlemen. So there was a break, and there's always a lot of cops around when we're around, and but the cops they've been well behaved. I got to give them that this time. We've been talking to them for years. They're starting to understand they're involved in a nasty little game here. And anyway, so we've been getting along just fine. And when the Crown came out into the common area, I went after, and I said, I said, I'm going to put a motion in or whatever to have you pulled from this case and pulled from being a Crown attorney anymore, because you're doing exactly what you did to us, and that there's no chance of conviction here. And same thing as you did to us, and we're going to hold you to it. And it was really weird because Paul, who was with me, he said, did you see what happened when you approached the Crown? I said, yeah, they always do that. He said, all the cops just immediately stood up and surrounded the Crown. Yeah, they're supposed to protect it. Not protecting you or me, they're protecting the Crown. And I said it was rather humorous, but I said they were well behaved. I said in the past they'd start pushing and shoving and threatening and shit like that, but they were very well behaved. So after I kind of rattled her cage a little bit, the break's over, and that's when the star witness came up, and the case is just falling apart at the seams, man. There's nothing there. And so now we're going to go chase her sorry butt down and see if we can't get some restitution for all the trouble that she's caused everybody. Another thing happened yesterday. It was really freaking disgusting. Friend Paul, he'd been downstairs having a smoke or something, and he come back upstairs and sits down, and he says, I don't know what to do. I go, what are you talking about? Well, there's a lady downstairs, and I seen them drag her in earlier in handcuffs, and now she's outside the courthouse, and it was frightfully frickin' cold yesterday and snowing and blowing, and she's standing out there, and I got talking to her and asked her what happened, and she said, well, they forced me to plead guilty because I didn't have any bail money, and if I didn't plead guilty, they were going to throw me in jail. So I had to plead guilty because I can't be in jail. I got kids. I got family to deal with. So what's the deal? And he says, well, she has no way home. And apparently the cops won't drive her home. No, they'll haul your ass to the courthouse, but then they boot you out on the street like a piece of garbage. So Paul actually went and talked to the cops and said, no, we don't do that stuff. So now you have a woman who's probably mid-30s, somewhere in there, and is about 35 minutes from home in a snowstorm, and no way to get anywhere. And so Paul actually asked the cops, he says, well, look, there's enough of you guys around here, like tons of you. Why don't you each chip in $5 or $10 so she can get a cab to get home? Oh, we don't do stuff like that. That's how pathetic this is. So he says, I'm thinking maybe I'll offer her a ride home. I said, well, I'd be all right. I said, this is going to break for lunch for an hour and 15 minutes or something in a few minutes. So when we broke for lunch, went down, she was still outside, and Paul says, jump in the car, I'll give you a ride home. And so I wasn't planning on going, but ended up going. So, we drive this lady home, and she's telling us what happened, and she said, a guy I know, he's not my boyfriend, and I don't really hang out with him that much, but I just happened to be in the truck, and he got pulled over, and apparently stole the trailer. And I said, so what's that got to do with you? Exactly. What's that got to do with me? Nothing. But they ticketed me for being an accomplice, of which I don't know nothing about any of this stuff. And then when they dragged me to court, then they tell me if I don't plead guilty, they're going to throw me in jail. And what kind of nonsense is this? So we had a pretty good chat with her on the way there, taking her home. We got back to town, and back to the courthouse, and it's just made a couple of really good contacts there yesterday. There was some people in the court that really didn't have anything to do with milk. I think they just read the story in the newspaper and decided to drop in. So I made a couple of pretty good contacts yesterday of people who are probably in their mid 50s, early 60s, who are not in a good mood because they have started to look at things a little closer as to what's going on in this nation, and they're not too pleased about it. And one of them was a woman who runs a business and in sound, and she's very smart, and so we got talking about some stuff, and she said, then we need to do something about this. And I said, exactly. And so that made me pretty happy. Talk about fake news. I was talking to a reporter there who had run into years ago in I think it was Shelburne, Ontario. We went to crash a wind symposium or whatever you want to call it, and they're pushing the windmills, and so we went up there, and he was a reporter, didn't write too good a story, and so I was talking to him yesterday. I think that was, when was it? At the lunch break, I guess, or maybe after we got back, I don't recall, but anyways, we were outside, must have been lunch, and he says, what do you think of the trial? And I said, it's boring, take every definition of boring, and that's what it is. Well, don't you find it exciting? No, I don't. It's not exciting because it shouldn't even be going on. And so, there was a little hitch there on when they were hammering away at the Star Witness, and John had gone onto a wrong page there for a half a second, and so the judge at first went, aha, and then the report. But I said, this has nothing to do with the testimony, okay? Nothing whatsoever to do with the bad testimony of the Star Witness. And I said, if you're going to go write a story slanted that way, then I'm going to hold you to the fire. I said, I will be up your employer's behind. I'll be looking for a retraction. And then he got all pissy with me. And I said, well, you just make sure how you write that story, because if where I think you're going with it, I said, I was in the courtroom. I'm going to hold you to it. And he got real pissy. There's another reporter there that I guess was out at the farm when it got raided, and he writes for the Owen Sound paper and has for years and years and years. And I was talking to him, and I said, what is it you're doing here anyways? You're never in the courtroom. Like, the other guys got the recorders and the pads and all that kind of stuff, but you're always sitting out here. Like, how are you getting a story sitting out here? And he said, well, actually, I've been called as a witness. Oh, but they haven't called you in yet. No. So you've been coming here basically since a week ago Monday, pretty much. Another waste of a man's time. But we got talking about the media, and I said, it's getting really bad, man. I mean, it's always been bad, but it's really getting bad now. And he's just shaking his head. He said, it's getting freaking ridiculous. And, he's not too proud to be a reporter anymore. And is looking for something else. And I said, well, we're trying and we want to get a newspaper going. So you have a fair-sized following in this neck of the woods. Maybe we can cut some kind of a deal or something that if we get this thing going, you work as an independent or something. We'll just pay you for your stories. So he's kind of mulling that around in his head. But the biggest problem we got is, I think, people don't want to get involved. And that's, if we're going to go down, it'll be absolutely our fault. And that really bugs the hell out of me. You know, I saw a video from England. I think it was. Well, no, part of it was no, that one was from England, and it was about the Muslims taking over the neighborhoods and that, and it was about the cops protecting the Muslims and chasing the white people out. And then there was a conversation between a woman. Oh, there was a guy and a woman, and this counselor in whatever burg they were in. And so, just to show good faith, the white guy sticks his hand out, and the counselor sticks his hand out, and they shake hands when they're introducing themselves. And so the woman sticks her hand out, but the Muslim absolutely refuses to shake her hand. And that just generally pissed her off. But her problem was that, you know, how do these guys get into council? Well, they run. Okay, and they're encouraged to run because the idea is to take down the nations and implement Sharia law. And if they're all running for positions and you're not, then guess who's going to be making the law of your land? They will. So it's mightily important that people run, you know. They got to run. And I don't really give a damn about the what would you call it? I really don't care about the Rothschilds or any of that other stuff, or the Soroses. They're not important. It's your local councils that are implementing their agendas. So if you want to get Rothschild and you want to get Soros and you want to get Rockefeller, the only place you can get at them is at the local level, and it's their agendas that your local council's implementing. So you want to put Rothschild's head on a stick, or Rockefeller, or Soros, or whoever. You can do that from the local level. That's the only place you can do it from. So I know I sound like a broken record sometimes, but this is a fact, and this is what has to happen, and this is what we have to do. Now, I'm looking to see if there's an update anywhere on the court case, but they've been kind of iffy on this. They haven't really been putting the updates up. Let's see if I can find another local paper here and see if they have anything to say. Let's see, because I didn't get there today. But when I do get there on Friday, I'm going to get me some raw milk, which will be good, because it sure beats the store-bought milk all to hell. And we'll see what comes of this trial, and I'm sure they're going to beat this. If not, they'll appeal it. But nothing there. And then I think I know he has one more court case coming up, and I think that is in May. And if he gets that out of the way, I think he'll have about all of the court cases tied up, and maybe he can get on with his life. Now they want to put an injunction so that he can't do anything but they're not going to pay any attention to that anyways. They're just going to drive on. And we'll go from there. I'm not seeing any updates on that story, so I guess I'll have to wait till I talk to somebody that was there today, and then get back there on Friday and see what we can come up with. But one of the things that's really, really bugging the hell out of me, and that is, well, let's go to Michael's site and see if there's any updates on this. I don't see any updates here from today. So I take it everything went well. But what really bugs me is I use Facebook quite a bit. And what really bugs me, I put a post in here, and I probably won't be able to find it. Because it's a post that I put in back in January sometime, having to do with our PM puppet, Tinkerbell Trudeau, and the Muslims. And so I punched that out to some Facebook sites, and it took off like freaking wildfire. And I notice that sometimes I'll post something. If I repost it, then it's you sometimes get a much different reaction after a little bit of time has passed. But what really irritates me about this particular, well, it's not just this one. It's what's the general. People seem not to want to read anything, and it scares me as to how. The headline on this says Trudeau says Canada will take refugees banned by the U.S. And does it say when I posted this thing? 29th of January. So it's not that old. I reposted it. And what really scares me is the comments. The comments really scare the hell out of me. This one particular site has got one hell of a pile of comments. And Muslims are like cigarettes, smoke them if you got them. Here's a comment. Trudeau is doing this as a way to make President Trump look bad. That's all. And Trump doesn't care what Trudeau does anyways. I mean, I put stuff up, but people don't read it. They like to look at these little memes or whatever they call them, these little pictures. It seems like people's attention span is so small now, and they all have a comment, but it sounds like a bunch of children. Like here's one here. Allah is a faggot. Fuck Islam. What has that got to do with what I posted? Another comment here. Jail this fraudulent twat. Trudeau can kiss my Canadian rebel ass, and they have the American rebel flag up there with the Canadian thing behind it. We don't want those people. Canada does not want more Muslims. Okay. Then he should take them right to his house, because the rest of us don't want them around when he's going to listen to the people, idiot. Trudeau is bullying his master plan of taking over the country to make it Islamic State. Think about it. He brings in 30,000 Muslims, then he pushes a motion, M103, which will make it illegal to speak out against Islam or Muhammad. These comments, they're not based on anything. Trudeau, you're a piece of shit. Stop letting every effing criminal come into Canada. He is setting up for his re-election campaign, but Canadians who know will not vote. It takes a special kind of lunatic to think that importing welfare recipients who want to kill us is a good idea. Rallies the U.S. to help us. He's a treasonous son of a bitch. If they do commit a crime, we never hear anything about it anyways. Put him away, idiot. F-face traitor, lib Trudeau. Admit it, Trudeau, you are a yippee-ki-yay mother effing like your father was. Justin Trudeau loves Muslims, raping, killing, and whatever they want. Big effing joke. Just in too much drugs. But this is the kind of comments I'm getting. It's not based on anything. It sounds like a bunch of freaking children. And most of these people, when I go check them out, you know, they're between 40 and 75, basically. Arrogant, F-faced bastard. I sort of want to see you hanged for your crimes against Canada. You're not even worthy to be called excrement. Piece of maggot dung. I curse this pus now and forever. Like children crying to their father, we crying to you, Harper, will you once again become our prime minister? These people have no freaking clue about anything. And this is the old two-party system of keeping the people divided. They want the Conservatives back. They would like Prime Minister Harper to return. Well, it was Prime Minister Harper who stood at the podium of the G20 and said this meeting basically signifies a loss of national sovereignty. Some people don't like it, but it's just a simple reality, he says. And these people want Harper back. You see, the Conservatives don't seem to be able to figure out what the Conservatives are up to. And the Liberals can't seem to figure out what the Liberals are up to. But I'm a Liberal and you're a Conservative. You suck and I don't, and vice versa. And these people don't seem to realize that this two-party system is really one party with two colors. One runs the show for a little while, and the other one runs the show for a little while. The Conservatives don't want to hear anything about it being the Conservatives that signed us on to Agenda 21. All of this UN stuff is the Liberals' fault. Well, it was the Conservatives that signed us on to Agenda 21. So how is that the liberals' problem? I swear to God, it's like a bunch of retarded children. Canada will see Trudeau in handcuffs. No, it won't. Canada won't see anything. Canada's a piece of paper. Canada's a corporation. He's the head of the corporation. Why would the head of the corporation, which is doing the bidding of his bosses, they're patting him on the back for doing such a good job? He ain't going to be in cuffs. Was Obama cuffed? No. Was Clinton cuffed? No. Was Harper cuffed? No. Were the Bushes cuffed? So I don't know how exactly you get people to understand. This is really bugging me lately. How do you get people to actually think? Here's somebody that's really upset. Unbelievable. He's just lost it or something. Speaking of Trudeau. Sorry, I am lost for words. He just keeps giving it to us every day. I think Prime Minister Trudeau should do some psychological testing. I don't think he can handle the stress of being Prime Minister, maybe even a lobotomy if necessary. But none of their comments deal with the problem, and that's pretty disturbing. Here's another one. I wish Harper was back. No, you don't. I mean, John Krejci, who was the Liberal Prime Minister, works for, I forget what the name of it, but it is the largest law firm on the planet. And they're stewing up all this international law to strangle us with. But and he was a liberal, but you want Harper back, who's a conservative. But after he left politics, where's he? Oh, he's working for the same law firm as the ex-MP Krejci, who was a liberal. The only difference is that Krejci is actually a lawyer and Harper isn't. Yet he's working for this law firm. Here's a nice little picture of Trudeau with some kind of a Muslim beanie on his head. Yeah, we got it. We got to. I don't know how you educate these people. I really don't. I find it very, very disturbing. Their comments, just like I said, little children puking off. And I'm sure it's the same thing in the States. You know, you have the people bitching about about Trump, but don't know anything about politics. Don't seem to know any history. And that's where I think they got us. There's no thought processes going on anymore. It's just a reaction of childlike minds. And that's not going to save our nations. That's not going to save our nations at all. But people don't seem to want to actually get involved in anything. They're looking for others to fix the problem for them. And that ain't going to happen. It most definitely is not going to happen. So that leaves us. The other thing I think is necessary is that we engage with the police and the military, because the military and the police, while they took their oath to serve the state, in the case of Canada, the Crown, which is the state, and in America, the state, they don't serve the people. That's not their job. And but I think we need to cozy up to the military and the police and explain to them that their families are just as much danger as our families are, and get them come in the right direction, because we're going to need them. We don't need them fighting with us. We don't need them standing between us and whoever's invading the country. And it is the Muslims. It's a constructed army. They are the army, and they're flooding them into our nations. And we'll find that we don't have any control over it anymore. And so the army and the police need to start working with the people who are trying to fight back against this, and are trying to get some knowledge to people. Now, even Michael Schmidt, now he's been dragged in out of court, like I said, for 23 years. And, I says, what do you think? I said, this seems to be working out. He said, I think so. The police were real shitheads for the longest time. And now we can sit down and have a decent conversation with them. And, trying to explain the difference between a police officer and a peace officer, or a policeman. A police officer is not a policeman. It's a title. Man is who you are, and officer is a title. So they're starting to come around to the idea that they're just running shotgun for a corporation that is also bleeding their families dry. Then these are things that have to get put out. Bitching and complaining, it ain't gonna accomplish jack squat. Now here's no, that's not it. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. I'm gonna put this in the chat, because I don't know if I put it in chat. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll put it in again, anyways. This is Derek Moran, who lives in Toronto, who attends all the board meetings, or at least the bigger ones. And this is an executive board meeting. It is chaired by the mayor of Toronto. And they've turned Toronto into a sanctuary city, which is against the law, of course, but but Derek Moran really has his act together as far as understanding things. And the beauty of it, you see, if you just go to a council meeting or a police board meeting one time and say your piece, they'll just, the ones that are controlling the strings are the ones that don't know, or just go, oh, he's just upset or whatever, he'll be fine. Well, Derek Moran goes to all these meetings. I wish I lived in a bigger area, but I don't. And I'm at least an hour and a half away from any decent-sized area. I'm up in a rural area. But Derek Moran here, I'm going to put this in because it's a really important piece. Now, the last time he was at the executive board meeting, John Tory, sitting as the chair, and the mayor, and a lawyer in Toronto, attempts to call Derek Mr. Moran, or Mr. Derek Moran, of which Derek sets him straight again. And because he's a lawyer, he gets all this stuff. He understands what Derek's saying. Now, the last time he was at this particular board meeting, he said some, I don't know, they weren't that rude, but he said a couple of things about a counselor that was along the line that she's evil. And so Tory took that and, said, Derek, you're going to have to apologize. Because if you don't apologize, they're going to have you removed from the meeting. Well, Derek didn't apologize. and he was removed from the meeting. So this is the following meeting. And it's really interesting because, again, John Tory tries to refer to Derek as the title and the surety, being Moran and Mr., which he straightens him out. So just before Derek gets to get into what he's talking about, Tory says we have some unfinished business. You need to apologize because I told you wouldn't be able to address this board again until you apologize for saying something negative about someone that was not here to defend themselves. And so where's Derek going from there? And I'll put this in the chat and you can watch it because Derek explains to the lawyer, the mayor, and the head of the board how this actually operates. And now, so we have this lawyer, mayor, and a very well-connected guy, and this gentleman in a pair of blue jeans and a green hat, which you're not supposed to, I don't think, wear your hat at the council meeting either, but Derek just does because it doesn't, anything they say in here has no force and effect upon him because he's not playing the corporate person. So Tory actually asked him to make this, make good and, apologize like he was directed to do. But Derek doesn't go there and ends up going ahead and talking and saying his piece and going through a bunch of stuff again. And so I'll put this in the chat. And you listen to this. It's very important stuff. And you got to remember now, the mayor of Toronto is a lawyer. And here's a guy in a green cap, sweatshirt, a pair of blue jeans, basically pushing the lawyer, the mayor, aside and giving his talk. Now this video should open at when Derek, is getting ready to speak. If it doesn't, it should open automatically there. If it doesn't, and he only speaks for 5 minutes, that's all the time they give him. If it doesn't, Derek, I think, starts speaking at the 2:24.9 minute mark or something. But it should load up. But this is really interesting, and I encourage people to go to Derek Moran's Facebook, or I think he has a YouTube as well. And I got to take my hat off to him because this guy is doing some absolutely brilliant work. And this is another case we got to involve ourselves. Now, if Derek only went to one of these meetings a year, he'd have no effect. But he's there every single time. And he just keeps punching away at these guys. Now, most of these guys don't have a clue at the beginning what the hell he was talking about. So it's very easy for the lawyer, the mayor, and the other lawyers there, and the CAOs, or the city manager, to persuade these guys that Derek's just a nutcase. But because Derek's there at all of the meetings, it's almost like osmosis or something, right? This stuff gets in their heads. And then they got to start asking questions because Derek seems to know exactly what he's talking about. Yet nobody ever asked a question when Derek's done speaking. And I know damn well they've been informed not to talk. Do not ask a question of Derek because then you give him the floor back. And we can't do that. But I've been watching these guys on these meetings, on these boards and that for a while now, and you can see them. You can almost see their brains starting to ask questions, um, because Derek keeps talking to them. And that's like, I mean, the cops used to chase us around like dogs, man. It was ridiculous. And we never got ugly with them, and just kept working on them and talking to them. And they seem to have changed their tune, at least towards us, a great deal. They're not pushing and shoving, and they listen, and they show respect, and you know, they're wondering now because they're sitting in these courtrooms, and we talk to them all the time, and so now when they're listening to the judge and seeing how the crown operates and all this kind of stuff, because we've been planting seeds in their heads, they're starting to see the courts for what they are, not what they thought they were, and that's bloody important. And so I encourage people to watch that video or go to Derek's Facebook as Derek Moran, and go to his Facebook, and I think somewhere on YouTube, I don't know if there's a Derek Moran site or what this is attached to this video, but I think if you follow the link off of this video, and I don't think it's Derek Moran, but if you do follow that, I think this guy loads these meetings up, and you'll be able to get a lot of really good. No, might not get it here. But anyways, it doesn't matter. You can find more of Derek Moran just I guess by punching in Derek Moran at the YouTube or whatever. Does some brilliant work, and this is what more of us need to be doing. This idea that you don't want to run because they're crooked, granted, but the crookedness and the fraud and the deceptions and is not going to stop by not running. I mean, you have an opportunity. I don't want nothing to do with it because it's all a scam. It is all a scam, but you're not going to fix the scam unless you involve yourself. Nothing's going to fix itself unless you involve yourself. If you're waiting for other people to involve themselves, you're going to find out that nothing's getting accomplished here, and that we're losing a grip more and more every day on our nations. So it's very important that we engage ourselves, get to the city halls, post posters, you know, put your picture your mayor up and just explain that this guy's involved in, or this gal's involved in a massive fraud. We got to hold their feet to the fire. We got to wake these people up. You know, that lady I met in the courtroom yesterday, I wasn't sure who she was because I never seen her before. And when I was in and out of the courtroom quite a bit, and every time I would come in, I would sit in the front so I could stretch my legs out. And they were sitting in the next pew, and they are pews, they're church pews, because this whole thing originated from the church. And, you know, she'd look at me and kind of give me a quirky smile or whatever. And I go, who is this? And so we got talking at the end of the day there, and I said, I figured out who you are now. I said, you're like an undercover cop, right? And she started, I was just fooling, but she started giggling, no. And so we got talking and that, and we got talking about the First and Second World War. And, you know, I said, this is the Third World War, and it's a psychological, spiritual war, which she agreed with. And she also agreed that this is how we have to fight it. We can't fight it with violence. It won't work. It just will not work. You cannot fight it with violence. And we can, however, fight it from a spiritual, psychological point. And that's why Michael Schmidt, after 23 years, is still standing, and they have pounded on him hard. Excuse me. Why he's still standing. because he's a principled man. It's all about the principle. If you got no principles, you ain't got nothing to stand on. You ain't got nothing to fight for. You ain't got nothing to stand up for. So we have to make this a principled scrap. It has to be a moral scrap, and it most definitely has to be a spiritual scrap, along with the psychology. They've used psychology on us since the get-go to confuse us, deceive us, enslave us. And they didn't enslave us with bombs. They broke the spirit of the men and women. And they used psychology, i.e. propaganda, to get you to believe things that are not true, they're not real. But in the process, they pretty much broke the spirit. And if you've lost your principles and your spirit is broken, how in the hell are you going to save your nation? You're not. And if you're not prepared to stand up and save your nation, then you might as well turn to your child or your grandchild and say, you know, you're in for a miserable future, and I don't give a damn. And that would be a true statement. Because if you're not engaged, you've sawed off the future for the children, the grandchildren, and those not yet born yet. And we've thumbed our nose at our forefathers, who I'm sure would like to get out of their graves and give each of us a slap up the back of the head and say, what are you, stupid? Why are you allowing this to take place? Well, I don't know anything about politics, and there's nothing you can do about it anyways. I'm so sick of that statement. Nothing we can do about it. Well, then I guess there's nothing you can do about it. But you just sawed the future of your family off. You've just thrown them to the wolves because you're weak of mind and spine, and you can't get up to do anything. Always looking for someone else to do it. And that's how they got us here. They deceived us into the idea that the government is honest and you don't have to think. We'll just do the right thing for it, which kind of takes you back to the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church doesn't even want people reading the Bible. Don't worry about the Bible. The Pope will tell us how to think and what to do. And that's where your government came from. All roads lead to Rome. And we need to cut these suckers loose and take back our nations and our futures. And then get back to law and kick this stupid legal system in the teeth. And get back to law, which Derek is trying to explain to these people, and he's doing a damn good job of it. And then and only then can we start working towards peace and freedom. And I think peace and freedom is what everybody wants. But we can't have it if we don't become engaged in getting it. So take a look at that thing from Derek and check out his other stuff. He does some brilliant work. And we'll be back here Thursday. I'm going to try and get a hold of Michael, get an update what happened in the court today. And then we'll do something on that Thursday, and then we'll go back to the court on Friday, the final day. And I hear music, so I guess that's the hour. Everybody take care. Have a great night, and we'll be back Thursday night. So remember, in the meantime, rock,
they don't matter, genocide, sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air, fuck them back, it's only for they war. They shoot, they kill, they massacre.